UTE's head office is composed of several main units. These are the Information Communication Technology Unit. This is responsible for information and communication technology management, which involves network management systems and application development information, as well as communication technology. The Multimedia Development Center is responsible for content development for teaching through creating imagery, animation, audio, video production, and more. The Learning Material Distribution Center is responsible for managing all the daily activities of a centralized distribution center and warehouse. The library is responsible for the development, selection, and maintenance of the learning material collection, and the ordering, processing, and cataloging of all library materials. The Examination Center is responsible for the organization and administration of examinations. The Rectorate building contains the offices of the Rector and Vice-Rectors. The Bureau of Finance, General Affairs and Partnership is responsible for carrying out financial affairs and the university's planning, administration and management. The Bureau of Student Administration and Planning takes care of academic and administrative services, including a contact center that serves the needs of students. The core teaching and learning functions of the university are conducted through 4 faculties. These faculties offer diploma, bachelor, master, and doctoral programs. These faculties are the Faculty of Economics, the Faculty of Law, Social and Political Sciences, the Faculty of Science and Technology, and the Faculty of Education and Teacher Training. At present, Universitas Terbuka has a student body of just over 350,000 from every corner of Indonesia and more than 50 other countries. Universitas Terbuka, making higher education open to all.
Pada akhir tahun 2021, Universitas Terbuka memperoleh persetujuan menjadi PTN Badan Hukum dari Mendikbud-Ristek Republik Indonesia. Universitas Terbuka, perguruan tinggi ke-45 di Indonesia. Universitas Terbuka sudah mengabdi untuk merealisasikan visi pemerintah dalam hal pemerataan akses perguruan tinggi bagi seluruh masyarakat. Dengan demikian, UT ikut serta meningkatkan daya tampung perguruan tinggi negeri dengan jangkauan layanan di 515 kabupaten kota dan layanan di lebih dari 50 negara. UT memiliki 39 kantor unit program belajar jarak jauh atau UPBJJ dan 1 pusat layanan untuk mahasiswa luar negeri. Universitas Terbuka sebagai perguruan tinggi yang menerapkan sistem pembelajaran terbuka dan jarak jauh tentunya memiliki sistem berbeda dengan pendidikan tatap muka pada umumnya. Menurut Peraturan Menteri Pendidikan dan Kebudayaan Nomor 7 Tahun 2020, Pasal 6, dinyatakan bahwa pelajaran dalam pendidikan jarak jauh dilaksanakan melalui belajar secara mandiri, terstruktur, dan terbimbing dengan menggunakan bahan ajar mandiri serta berbagai sumber belajar berbasis teknologi informasi. Struktur kurikulum program studi yang ditawarkan Universitas Terbuka memuat berbagai komponen yang mencirikan sifatnya sebagai institusi pendidikan jarak jauh yang memiliki daya jangkau luas dan berkualitas dunia. Kurikulum program studi itu sendiri dinaungi oleh beberapa fakultas yang disediakan oleh Universitas Terbuka. Salah satunya adalah Fakultas Ekonomi.
Selamat datang di Fakultas Ekonomi Universitas Terbuka. Saya, Dr. Mairani Harsasi, Dekan Fakultas Ekonomi UT periode tahun 2022-2026. Fakultas Ekonomi UT memiliki visi menjadi salah satu institusi pendidikan terbuka jarak jauh yang berkualitas dalam menghasilkan produk pendidikan tinggi dan dalam penyelenggaraan, pengembangan, dan penyebaran informasi dalam bidang ekonomi dan bisnis. Saat ini, Fakultas Ekonomi UT memiliki program sarjana dan pasca sarjana. Untuk program sarjana, terdapat 3 jurusan, yaitu jurusan manajemen, jurusan akuntansi, dan jurusan ekonomi pembangunan. Jurusan manajemen memiliki 2 program studi, yaitu program studi manajemen yang telah terakreditasi A oleh Ban PT dan program studi pariwisata yang telah terakreditasi B. Jurusan akuntansi memiliki 2 program studi, yaitu program studi akuntansi yang juga telah terakreditasi A oleh Ban PT dan program studi akuntansi keuangan publik yang telah terakreditasi B oleh Ban PT. Sedangkan untuk jurusan ekonomi pembangunan memiliki 2 program studi, yaitu program studi ekonomi pembangunan yang juga telah terakreditasi A oleh Ban PT dan program studi ekonomi syariah yang terakreditasi B oleh Ban PT. Kami juga menyelenggarakan program pasca sarjana yang terdiri dari program Magister Manajemen dan program Doktor Ilmu Manajemen. Universitas Terbuka sudah mengabdi dengan turut merealisasikan visi pemerintah, yaitu pemerataan pembangunan pendidikan tinggi bagi seluruh masyarakat Indonesia. Ingin meraih pendidikan tinggi berkualitas? Ayo bergabung bersama Fakultas Ekonomi Universitas Terbuka.
Saat ini Fakultas Ekonomi Universitas Terbuka memiliki jumlah mahasiswa sebanyak 85.050 mahasiswa yang tersebar di seluruh penjuru Indonesia dan luar negeri. Sebagai bentuk nyata dalam mewujudkan untuk semua dan mendorong wajib sampai kuliah, Universitas Terbuka telah melakukan berbagai terobosan sehingga mampu beradaptasi di era kebiasaan baru agar dapat mencetak lulusan berkarakter dan berdaya saing global dengan memanfaatkan teknologi terkini. Berbagai fasilitas belajar, baik yang sinkronus maupun yang asinkronus, dikembangkan dengan melibatkan pakar-pakar teknologi pendidikan dan media di tanah air. UT terus berupaya membangun sumber daya manusia yang unggul melalui digital learning ecosystem. Universitas Terbuka, making higher education open to all.
Dengan tuntutan era digital yang semakin pesat, memacu kita untuk terus meningkatkan potensi sumber daya manusia yang terintegrasi dan mampu menunjang produktivitas. Namun, perkembangan yang kian padat tersebut perlu diimbangi dengan solusi pembelajaran yang efektif dan modern yang mampu mengimbangi rutinitas masyarakat masa kini. Sebuah sarana yang mampu mengatasi keterbatasan tempat dan waktu yang menjadi masalah utama bagi banyak orang dalam mengembangkan diri dan peningkatan karir di era digital yang berdampak pada gaya hidup. Universitas Terbuka hadir untuk menjawab masalah tersebut dengan penerapan sistem pembelajaran terbuka dan jarak jauh. Sistem yang terbukti efektif meningkatkan daya jangkau dan pemerataan pendidikan tinggi yang berkualitas bagi seluruh lapisan masyarakat. Sistem pembelajaran Universitas Terbuka memungkinkan para mahasiswa untuk belajar secara fleksibel dan terbuka dengan beberapa keuntungan seperti waktu pendaftaran yang terbuka sepanjang tahun sehingga Anda tidak perlu khawatir untuk terlambat melakukan pendaftaran, ruang, waktu, dan tempat yang fleksibel bagi mahasiswa. Hal ini sangat berguna bagi para mahasiswa yang tetap ingin mengembangkan wawasannya dimanapun dan kapanpun. Materi ajar cetak maupun digital yang mudah diakses di seluruh pelosok Indonesia dan mancanegara. Memberi kesempatan kepada segala golongan dan usia yang siap belajar untuk mengembangkan ilmu dan kemampuannya di segala bidang. Memiliki 39 kantor regional di seluruh Indonesia dan pusat layanan luar negeri yang selalu siap mendukung kegiatan operasional dan jalinan kerjasama dengan berbagai institusi baik nasional dan internasional. Serta dilengkapi dengan berbagai fasilitas penunjang proses pembelajaran seperti UT Radio, UT TV, layanan bantuan belajar, hingga perpustakaan yang dapat diakses secara online. Memiliki 4 fakultas, Fakultas Keguruan dan Ilmu Pendidikan, Fakultas Hukum Ilmu Sosial dan Ilmu Politik, Fakultas Ekonomi, Fakultas Sains dan Teknologi, dengan lebih dari 35 program studi sarjana dan program pasca sarjana. Universitas Terbuka, making higher education open to all.
Seiring dengan perkembangan teknologi dan informasi, Universitas Terbuka menyediakan layanan terbaik untuk mahasiswanya. UT menghadirkan salah satu aplikasi keunggulan yang bernama MyUT. Aplikasi MyUT ini hadir untuk mempermudah mahasiswa dalam mendapatkan berbagai informasi yang berhubungan dengan perkuliahan. Aplikasi MyUT ini sudah menerapkan teknologi single sign-on atau biasa dikenal dengan SSO. Aplikasi ini merupakan sistem layanan autentikasi guna membantu mahasiswa dalam proses masuk ke suatu situs atau aplikasi. Dengan sistem ini, mahasiswa hanya perlu login dengan akun Office 365 untuk masuk ke beberapa aplikasi sekaligus. Melalui MyUT, mahasiswa sudah dapat melihat dashboard personal, diantaranya adalah data mahasiswa dan perkembangan akademik mahasiswa tersebut. Dalam hal ini, mahasiswa akan melihat status pembayaran dan mata kuliah yang diambil. Selain itu, mahasiswa juga dapat melihat pengumuman dan kalender akademik. Informasi yang mudah didapat melalui WhatsApp dan email mahasiswa. Pembayaran yang mudah karena sudah menerapkan teknologi to-C2P. Fasilitas lain adalah mahasiswa juga dapat langsung masuk ke laman tutorial online, tutorial webinar, dan praktik-praktikum tanpa harus melakukan login ke aplikasi masing-masing. Begitu pula dengan layanan lainnya seperti registrasi, bahan ajar, ujian, kegiatan kemahasiswaan dan yudisium. Mahasiswa cukup pilih layanan yang diinginkan dan otomatis masuk ke aplikasi yang diinginkan. Aplikasi ini juga dilengkapi dengan fitur chatbot untuk memudahkan mahasiswa dalam menunjang proses belajarnya. Fasilitas lain pada MyUT adalah mempermudah mahasiswa untuk mengetahui lokasi ujian, dikarenakan dalam MyUT sendiri terdapat fitur KTPU yang akan terhubung dengan maps lokasi ujian sesuai dengan UP-BJJ-nya masing-masing. Dengan hadirnya MyUT dalam 2 versi, yaitu versi website dan versi mobile, mempermudah mahasiswa mendapatkan layanan kapan saja dan di mana saja. Pendidikan jarak jauh. Terdapat di lebih dari 40 provinsi dan di luar negeri. Bahan ajar mudah didapat.
Anda sedang mendengarkan UT Radio, Open Education.
Diikuti berbagai macam profesi, mencetak lulusan berkualitas. Universitas terbuka tanpa batas.
Pendidikan adalah wahana untuk menggapai mimpi dan mengubah masa depan menjadi lebih baik. Hari gini, nggak ada alasan buat nggak kuliah. Kita bisa kuliah tanpa mengorbankan kegiatan yang lainnya. Bahkan waktu dan tempat pun bukan masalah. Siapapun kalian dan dimanapun kalian berada, ciptakan kampus untuk kuliah dan kampus yang akan mendatangi kalian. Ya cuma UT yang bisa begini.
Welcome to Universitas Terbuka. Universitas Terbuka, or UTE, is the 45th State University of Indonesia, launched on September 4, 1984. The head office is located at Pondok Cabe, South Tangerang, and is spread over 16 hectares. As the central university campus, Universitas Terbuka emphasizes the importance of professional concept and advanced technology, while at the same time preserving green spaces and a natural environment. As a pioneer and innovator of distance higher education, Universitas Terbuka has 39 regional offices throughout Indonesia, and one dedicated for students living overseas. The adoption of a flexible learning system allows UTE students to learn wherever they are and whenever it suits them. UTE provides learning opportunities for all individuals to higher education. Universitas Terbuka provides high-speed broadband and dedicated workstations for its staff in order to serve its students in Indonesia and across the globe. UTE's head office is composed of several main units. These are the Information Communication Technology Unit. This is responsible for information and communication technology management, which involves network management systems and application development information, as well as communication technology. The Multimedia Development Center is responsible for content development for teaching through creating imagery, animation, audio, video production, and more. The Learning Material Distribution Center is responsible for managing all the daily activities of a centralized distribution center and warehouse. The library is responsible for the development, selection, and maintenance of the learning material collection, and the ordering, processing, and cataloging of all library materials. The Examination Center is responsible for the organization and administration of examinations. The Rectorate building contains the offices of the Rector and Vice-Rectors. The Bureau of Finance, General Affairs and Partnership is responsible for carrying out financial affairs and the university's planning, administration and management. The Bureau of Student Administration and Planning takes care of academic and administrative services, including a contact center that serves the needs of students. The core teaching and learning functions of the university are conducted through 4 faculties. These faculties offer diploma, bachelor, master and doctoral programs. These faculties are the Faculty of Economics, the Faculty of Law, Social and Political Sciences, the Faculty of Science and Technology, and the Faculty of Education and Teacher Training. At present, Universitas Terbuka has a student body of just over 350,000 from every corner of Indonesia and more than 50 other countries. Universitas Terbuka, making higher education open to all.
Pada akhir tahun 2021, Universitas Terbuka memperoleh persetujuan menjadi PTN Badan Hukum dari Mendikbudristek Republik Indonesia. Universitas Terbuka, perguruan tinggi ke-45 di Indonesia. Universitas Terbuka sudah mengabdi untuk merealisasikan visi pemerintah dalam hal pemerataan akses perguruan tinggi bagi seluruh masyarakat. Dengan demikian, UT ikut serta meningkatkan daya tampung perguruan tinggi negeri dengan jangkauan layanan di 515 kabupaten kota dan layanan di lebih dari 50 negara. UT memiliki 39 kantor unit program pelajar jarak jauh atau UPPJJ dan 1 pusat layanan untuk mahasiswa luar negeri. Universitas Terbuka sebagai perguruan tinggi yang menerapkan sistem pembelajaran terbuka dan jarak jauh tentunya memiliki sistem berbeda dengan pendidikan tatap muka pada umumnya. Menurut Peraturan Menteri Pendidikan dan Kebudayaan Nomor 7 Tahun 2020, Pasal 6, dinyatakan bahwa pelajaran dalam pendidikan jarak jauh dilaksanakan melalui belajar secara mandiri, terstruktur, dan terbimbing dengan menggunakan bahan ajar mandiri serta berbagai sumber belajar berbasis teknologi informasi. Struktur kurikulum program studi yang ditawarkan Universitas Terbuka memuat berbagai komponen yang mencirikan sifatnya sebagai institusi pendidikan jarak jauh yang memiliki daya jangkau luas dan berkualitas dunia. Kurikulum program studi itu sendiri dinaungi oleh beberapa fakultas yang disediakan oleh Universitas Terbuka. Salah satunya adalah Fakultas Ekonomi.
Selamat datang di Fakultas Ekonomi Universitas Terbuka. Saya, Dr. Mairani Harsasi, Dekan Fakultas Ekonomi UT periode tahun 2022-2026. Fakultas Ekonomi UT memiliki visi menjadi salah satu institusi pendidikan terbuka jarak jauh yang berkualitas dalam menghasilkan produk pendidikan tinggi dan dalam penyelenggaraan, pengembangan, dan penyebaran informasi dalam bidang ekonomi dan bisnis. Saat ini, Fakultas Ekonomi UT memiliki program sarjana dan pasca sarjana. Untuk program sarjana, terdapat 3 jurusan, yaitu jurusan manajemen, jurusan akuntansi, dan jurusan ekonomi pembangunan. Jurusan manajemen memiliki 2 program studi, yaitu program studi manajemen yang telah terakreditasi A oleh Ban PT dan program studi pariwisata yang telah terakreditasi B. Jurusan akuntansi memiliki 2 program studi, yaitu program studi akuntansi yang juga telah terakreditasi A oleh Ban PT dan program studi akuntansi keuangan publik yang telah terakreditasi B oleh Ban PT. Sedangkan untuk jurusan ekonomi pembangunan memiliki 2 program studi, yaitu program studi ekonomi pembangunan yang juga telah terakreditasi A oleh Ban PT dan program studi ekonomi syariah yang terakreditasi B oleh Ban PT. Kami juga menyelenggarakan program pasca sarjana yang terdiri dari program Magister Manajemen dan program Doktor Ilmu Manajemen. Universitas Terbuka sudah mengabdi dengan turut merealisasikan visi pemerintah, yaitu pemerataan pembangunan pendidikan tinggi bagi seluruh masyarakat Indonesia. Ingin meraih pendidikan tinggi berkualitas? Ayo bergabung bersama Fakultas Ekonomi Universitas Terbuka.
Saat ini Fakultas Ekonomi Universitas Terbuka memiliki jumlah mahasiswa sebanyak 85.050 mahasiswa yang tersebar di seluruh penjuru Indonesia dan luar negeri. Sebagai bentuk nyata dalam mewujudkan untuk semua dan mendorong wajib sampai kuliah, Universitas Terbuka telah melakukan berbagai terobosan sehingga mampu beradaptasi di era kebiasaan baru agar dapat mencetak lulusan berkarakter dan berdaya saing global dengan memanfaatkan teknologi terkini. Berbagai fasilitas belajar, baik yang sinkronus maupun yang asinkronus, dikembangkan dengan melibatkan pakar-pakar teknologi pendidikan dan media di tanah air. UT terus berupaya membangun sumber daya manusia yang unggul melalui digital learning ecosystem. Universitas Terbuka, making higher education open to all.
Dengan tuntutan era digital yang semakin pesat, memacu kita untuk terus meningkatkan potensi sumber daya manusia yang terintegrasi dan mampu menunjang produktivitas. Namun, perkembangan yang kian padat tersebut perlu diimbangi dengan solusi pembelajaran yang efektif dan modern yang mampu mengimbangi rutinitas masyarakat masa kini. Sebuah sarana yang mampu mengatasi keterbatasan tempat dan waktu yang menjadi masalah utama bagi banyak orang dalam mengembangkan diri dan peningkatan karir di era digital yang berdampak pada gaya hidup. Universitas Terbuka hadir untuk menjawab masalah tersebut dengan penerapan sistem pembelajaran terbuka dan jarak jauh. Sistem yang terbukti efektif meningkatkan daya jangkau dan pemerataan pendidikan tinggi yang berkualitas bagi seluruh lapisan masyarakat. Sistem pembelajaran Universitas Terbuka memungkinkan para mahasiswa untuk belajar secara fleksibel dan terbuka dengan beberapa keuntungan seperti waktu pendaftaran yang terbuka sepanjang tahun, sehingga Anda tidak perlu khawatir untuk terlambat melakukan pendaftaran, ruang, waktu, dan tempat yang fleksibel bagi mahasiswa. Hal ini sangat berguna bagi para mahasiswa yang tetap ingin mengembangkan wawasannya dimanapun dan kapanpun. Materi ajar cetak maupun digital yang mudah diakses di seluruh pelosok Indonesia dan mancanegara. Memberi kesempatan kepada segala golongan dan usia yang siap belajar untuk mengembangkan ilmu dan kemampuannya di segala bidang. Memiliki 39 kantor regional di seluruh Indonesia dan pusat layanan luar negeri yang selalu siap mendukung kegiatan operasional dan jalinan kerjasama dengan berbagai institusi baik nasional dan internasional. Serta dilengkapi dengan berbagai fasilitas penunjang proses pembelajaran seperti UT Radio, UT TV, layanan bantuan belajar, hingga perpustakaan yang dapat diakses secara online. Memiliki 4 fakultas, Fakultas Keguruan dan Ilmu Pendidikan, Fakultas Hukum Ilmu Sosial dan Ilmu Politik, Fakultas Ekonomi, Fakultas Sains dan Teknologi, dengan lebih dari 35 program studi sarjana dan program pasca sarjana. Universitas Terbuka, making higher education open to all.
Seiring dengan perkembangan teknologi dan informasi, Universitas Terbuka menyediakan layanan terbaik untuk mahasiswanya. UT menghadirkan salah satu aplikasi keunggulan yang bernama MyUT. Aplikasi MyUT ini hadir untuk mempermudah mahasiswa dalam mendapatkan berbagai informasi yang berhubungan dengan perkuliahan. Aplikasi MyUT ini sudah menerapkan teknologi single sign-on atau biasa dikenal dengan SSO. Aplikasi ini merupakan sistem layanan autentikasi guna membantu mahasiswa dalam proses masuk ke suatu situs atau aplikasi. Dengan sistem ini, mahasiswa hanya perlu login dengan akun Office 365 untuk masuk ke beberapa aplikasi sekaligus. Melalui MyUT, mahasiswa sudah dapat melihat dashboard personal, diantaranya adalah data mahasiswa dan perkembangan akademik mahasiswa tersebut. Dalam hal ini, mahasiswa akan melihat status pembayaran dan mata kuliah yang diambil. Selain itu, mahasiswa juga dapat melihat pengumuman dan kalender akademik. Informasi yang mudah didapat melalui WhatsApp dan email mahasiswa. Pembayaran yang mudah karena sudah menerapkan teknologi to-C2P. Fasilitas lain adalah mahasiswa juga dapat langsung masuk ke laman tutorial online, tutorial webinar, dan praktik-praktikum tanpa harus melakukan login ke aplikasi masing-masing. Begitu pula dengan layanan lainnya seperti registrasi, bahan ajar, ujian, kegiatan kemahasiswaan dan yudisium. Mahasiswa cukup pilih layanan yang diinginkan dan otomatis masuk ke aplikasi yang diinginkan. Aplikasi ini juga dilengkapi dengan fitur chatbot untuk memudahkan mahasiswa dalam menunjang proses belajarnya. Fasilitas lain pada MyUT adalah mempermudah mahasiswa untuk mengetahui lokasi ujian dikarenakan dalam MyUT sendiri terdapat fitur KTPU yang akan terhubung dengan maps lokasi ujian sesuai dengan UP-BJJ-nya masing-masing. Dengan hadirnya MyUT dalam dua versi, yaitu versi website dan versi mobile, mempermudah mahasiswa mendapatkan layanan kapan saja dan di mana saja. Pendidikan jarak jauh. Terdapat di lebih dari 40 provinsi dan di luar negeri. Bahan ajar mudah didapat.
Anda sedang mendengarkan UT Radio, Open Education.
Diikuti berbagai macam profesi, mencetak lulusan berkualitas, Universitas terbuka tanpa batas.
Pendidikan adalah wahana untuk menggapai mimpi dan mengubah masa depan menjadi lebih baik. Hari gini, nggak ada alasan buat nggak kuliah. Kita bisa kuliah tanpa mengorbankan kegiatan yang lainnya. Bahkan waktu dan tempat pun bukan masalah. Siapapun kalian dan dimanapun kalian berada, ciptakan kampus untuk kuliah dan kampus yang akan mendatangi kalian. Ya cuma UT yang bisa begini.
Terbuka, Miss Eka Irajuang Daur Rohma SEIMAK, and also our honorable speaker, Professor Dr. Rozainun Haji Abdul Aziz PMK, TA, FCMA, CGMA, FCPA, ISACA, ICDM, MACD, the President of ASEAN Accounting Education Workgroup, and Professor at UNITAR Malaysia. And also our honorable speaker, Dr. Ramila Devi Ramsing, BCom, MBA, Ph.D., MBA Program Leader, UNITAR Malaysia, Faculty of Business. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, we also have participants in the Zoom meeting as well. Good afternoon, everyone. And I want to say, welcome to Visiting Professor with the theme Scholarly Sojourn, Traversing the Academics Landscape, a journey to support SGDs and research methodology for business, a practical approach, here in Gedung Serbaguna Universitas Terbuka and also Zoom meeting. On behalf of the organizing committee, we send our appreciation for your presence today. This program was attended by UT lecturers and also lecturers at UT Daerah throughout Indonesia via Zoom meeting. This program is also broadcast live via YouTube UT TV. Before we begin, let us pray according to our own religions and belief. Pray begins. Pray finish. The Visiting Professor program today was held with the support from the Faculty of Economics Universitas Terbuka. The next agenda, I will read the agenda. Today's agenda consists of 5 activities. The first one, welcoming speech by the Vice Dean of Academics, the Faculty of Economics and Business Universitas Terbuka, with the Vice Dean of Collaboration and the Vice Dean of Academics, Faculty of Economics Universitas Terbuka, Mrs. Dr. Kunia Endahriana, SEMCom. And the second one, signing implementation agreement and memorandum of agreement between ASEAN Accounting Education Workgroup and Universitas Terbuka. And the third one, main event that will lead with the moderator. The fourth, question and answer session. And the last one is closing. That's on today's event agenda. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, as a sign of respect to our beloved country, please stand up for singing the national anthem of Republic of Indonesia, Indonesia Raya, followed by hymn of Universitas Terbuka. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand up. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Our first agenda in the opening, the welcoming speech from the Vice Dean of Academics, the Faculty of Economics, Universitas Terbuka, Mrs. Dr. Kurnia Endah Riana, SEMCOM. So Mrs. Riana, please come to the front.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our honorable speaker, Professor Dr. Rozainun Haji Abdul Aziz and Dr. Ramila Devi Ramsin. The Honorable Vice Dean of General Affairs and Finance, Ibu Yeni Widyastuti, Head of Study Program, fellow lecturers, students, and guests. First of all, I will always grateful to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala who blessed us to attend this visiting seminar today. I'm very happy that we could work together to build more academic atmosphere here by joining the visiting professor. Today, Professor Rozainun and Dr. Ramila are here to share the issue about the emerging research topic during the visiting professor event with the theme Scholarly Sojourn, Traversing the Academic Landscape, a journey to support sustainable development goals in ASEAN. Their presence here is not only honor, but also invaluable opportunity for us to collaborate and to explore the critical role of academia in accomplishing the global community long-term goals. This event is part of our contribution to pursuing sustainable development goals to create more sustainable, equitable, and prosperous world where no one is left behind and the planet is protected for future generation. The goal provides roadmap for global development efforts, guiding policies, action, and investment toward better future for all. As we all know that university play an essential role in achieving sustainable development goals. We must strengthen our commitment by using teaching, research, and community services as the core means to achieving the global agenda. We are not only leader in knowledge creation and dissemination, but also pivotal institution in creating agent of change who actively contribute to achieve sustainability and social justice. Regardless of our discipline, we can all contribute to creative change for better world. So future generation can inherit a better planet. Thank you to Professor Rozainun and Dr. Ramila for the opportunity to share your expertise and experience with us. And thank you for the academic fellow and student who participated today. Let's discuss and exchange idea, a spirit of collaboration, innovation, and dedication to contribute to achievement of SDG agenda. To all of my colleagues, I hope you enjoy the seminar, and I believe this will become a fascinating session for discussion and exchanging idea to support SDGs in the educational field. This event, part of the implementation of collaboration with ASEAN Accounting Education Workgroup and Faculty of Economic and Business Universitas Terbuka. Last year was the first collaboration when FEBUT joined the Asian Future Sustainable Leader competition. On behalf of Faculty of Economic and Business, Universitas Terbuka, I express my gratitude for the collaboration with Asian Accounting Education Workgroup. I hope the collaboration flourishes in the future. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mrs. Dr. Kurnia and Dahriana for the speech. For the next agenda is signing implementation agreement and memorandum of agreement between ASEAN Accounting Education Workgroup and the Faculty of Economics and Business Universitas Terbuka. Please come to the front from ASEAN Accounting Education Workgroup, Professor Dr. Rozainun Haji Abdul Aziz, PMK, CA, FCMA, CGMA, FCPA, ICACA, ICDM, MICD, and from Universitas Terbuka, Mrs. Dr. Kurnia Endahriana, SAMCOM, and also with Mrs. Yeni Widyastuti, SAMSE, and also from ASEAN Accounting Workgroup, Dr. Ramila Devi Ramsingh, BCom, MBA, Ph.D. Okay, for Professor Dr. Rozainun, Haji Abdul and Aziz, and Dr. Kurnia Endariana, please stay in the front. And I would like to invite Mrs. Yeni Widya Stuti SAMSE, Dr. Ramila Devi Ramsing, BCom MBA Ph.D., and also with the head of Accounting Study Program, Management Study Program, Development Economic Study Program, Tourism Study Program, Sharia Economic Study Program, and Public Sector Accounting Study Program come to the front. And also, Mr. Sain Pintor, please come to the front. Thank you very much. So you can back to your seat. Thank you. So we move on to the next agenda is the main event with the moderator. So I would like to invite Professor Dr. Rozainun Haji Abdul Aziz PMK, CA, FCMA, CGMA, FCPA, ICACA, ICDM, MICD, the President of ASEAN Accounting Education Workgroup, and also the Professor at UNITAR Malaysia. And also, I would like to invite Dr. Ramila Devi Ramsing, BCom, MBA, Ph.D., the MBA Program Leader, UNITAR Malaysia, Faculty of Business. And also, I would like to call the moderator for today's event, Mrs. Dr. Ira Geraldina, SA, AK, MSAK, CA, to come to the front. Before we start, I will read the CV for our moderator first. Mrs. Ira Geraldina is completed at a bachelor degree in accounting at Pajajaran University in 2001, and also completed a Master of Science in Accounting at the University of Indonesia in 2010, and completed a doctoral degree in accounting at University of Indonesia in 2016. In 2004 until 2021, at Indonesian Banking School with the main competency in the field of financial accounting. Currently a lecturer in Universitas Terbuka. Actively writing paper related to earnings management, corporate governance, and risk management, especially in the BUMN context. Mrs. Ira also active in many communities and already published her own book. One of them is Aspek Kelayakan Pembiayaan Ekonomi Kreatif Subsektor Film Dokumenter. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome our speaker, Professor Dr. Rozainun Haji Abdul Aziz, and also Dr. Ramila Devi Ramsing, and also with the moderator, Dr. Ira Geraldina, who already in the stage. Dr. Ira, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Novita. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and participants. A very welcome to International Visiting Professor. I am Yura Giraldina, and it's my great pleasure to be your moderator for this exciting event. Today, we gather here with a shared passion for a journey to support SDGs. Of course, we already talked about it with our esteemed speakers today. Our agenda is packed with expert presentation and opportunities for networking and collaboration from our two ladies here. Firstly, Professor Dr. Rozainun Haji Abdul Aziz, and secondly, Dr. Ramila Devi Ramsing. We are so pleased to meet you here today. Ladies and gentlemen, we are set to be divided into two sessions that promise to be equally enlightening. Our first session is going to be delivered by Prof. Rozainun. Prof. Zainun will share her insight regarding scholarly Sojourns, traversing the academic landscape, a journey to support SDGs for around 30 minutes. It's okay, Prof. After that, we'll continue our second session with a focus on research methodology for business, a practical approach for the next 30 minutes. It's okay? Yeah. As the presentation proceeds, I encourage you to remain, engage, and take opportunity to interact with our speakers. So feel free to ask questions or share your insight. Don't forget to mention your name or your IDs, especially to our student here. We are so happy to see you. Now, without further delay, let's get started with the first session. I would like to introduce first, our first speaker is Professor Rozainun, currently is President of Asian Accounting Workgroup and Professor at UNITAR, Malaysia. Professor, the time is yours. Ready?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dan selamat tengah hari. Apa khabar semua? Baik. Ya ke baik? Baik. Ya, terima kasih Bu Diana dan terima kasih kepada tim-tim Bu Eka, Bu Ira, Dr. Ramila dan juga rakan-rakan, adik-adik ke cucu-cucu. Terima kasih kerana hadir pada tengah hari ini untuk kita berbicara. If we can have an interaction, that will be good. Jadi mungkin ada yang takut-takut, apakah soalannya yang nanti saya akan tanya? Ladies and gentlemen, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan mungkin. Yeah, so the title of my presentation here is Scholarly Sojourns, Traversing the Academic Landscape, a Journey to Support SDGs. A mouthful, isn't it? Apa ya ini Scholarly Sojourns? Apa ya? Anyone has any idea? Apa dia? Ada. Tapi pernah dengar ya. Tapinya bukannya sarjan. Scholarly Sojourns bermakna scholarly, academic, informasi, data yang kita pelajari dan kita pernah baca, kita pernah dengar, kita pernah lihat, ada di poster-poster, dan itu semua adalah sumber kepada pendidikan dan juga ilmu-ilmu. Sojourns adalah something that is temporary, that pass in front of us. So we've seen, I've seen Bu Riana, I've seen Bu Eka. So that is, an experience. Okay, so that experience is where we pick up all the information. Okay. And it's, mana? Boleh pergi balik kepada muka satu, slide satu. Yeah, so traversing the academic landscape adalah seperti kita melalui, kita berjalan-jalan sambil-sambil. Jadi kita juga sambil-sambil mengaji, belajar, masuk universiti, kita masuk dari semester 1, 2, 3 dan seterusnya sehingga habis. So traversing di mana kita juga melalui secara temporary, tetapi dalam pada itu kita kumpulkan, kita menimba ilmu. Is that what you also say in Indonesia? Menimba ilmu. So that is what we do and we enjoy. Do we enjoy education? Saya dengar Bu Riana saja enjoy. When I was a student, I felt I was forced to study. I was forced to go to school and I didn't like school. And at the age of 8 years old, this is just within these 4 walls. Don't share with your family members or your friends. I used to run away from school at the age of 8 years old. Tidak mau bangun pagi, mandi, pakai baju, pergi ke sekolah, tidak mau. Jadi saya pun lari daripada sekolah. Balik rumah, ibu saya tanya, kenapa? Lapar. So, you know, we give all kinds of excuses. But all those are lessons, all those are traversing, sama ada baik atau tidak, itu adalah pengalaman dan itu juga adalah lesson. Okay, so that is basically traversing. And when we say academic landscape, because we are in a university, we are already up and out from the school days. So we are now onto a higher level of the academic level towards a better qualification, degree, bachelor's, even maybe diploma before that, degree, master's, Ph.D, insyaAllah. Berapa ramai di sini mengikuti program degree? Bachelor? Maybe bachelor? Tak ada? Ini? Tidak mengaku? Ada sesalan? Ada kesal? And I'm sure in Zoom also, because I cannot see the Zoom members, I'm sure in Zoom there will also be students, diploma, degree, and so on. So that academic landscape, the process of getting the qualification, that is basically one part of the landscape. Landscape ni adalah suasana, keadaan dan apakah peringkat-peringkat level pengetahuan. That would be the landscape. Whatever that we come across and we learn, we sit for exams, we pass, and then we apply the knowledge accordingly. So this is basically a focus. The title focuses on the journey to SDGs. So apakah itu SDGs? Sedang banyak kali. Kan SDGs. Jadi apakah sekiranya boleh sesiapa menjawab apakah itu SDGs? Ternyata sekali sangat penting ya. Penting banget. But what is it? SDGs. Anyone? SDGs? Ibu di belakang? Tadi saya janji enggak mau tanya soalan tapi saya tukar fikiran. Boleh ya? Bisa ya? SDGs is basically Sustainable Development Goals. So it's not really, well, it is a term, but usually when I teach my students, I will tell them that whatever terms you come across, it should, or the meaning should come from the term itself. Kami faham apakah sustainable, iaitu maintain, sentiasa boleh diteruskan, apa-apa aktiviti itu adalah sustainable dan boleh maintain, baik, enhancement juga. And development is pembangunan, enhancement, pergerakan secara positif. Goals adalah objektif, tujuan yang kita perlu capai. Jadi SDG would be Sustainable Development Goals. And the whole intention is to provide a better standard of living to each and every one of us on earth. That is my personal interpretation. Next, saya ada berapa minit ya? Satu hari bisa? Okay, so this will be the contents of my presentation. Feel free to interject at any point that you have. Perhaps you want to ask question or you have any point to raise, even your experience. So can you, next slide, please. Next slide. So it's all about SDGs and basically how we can contribute towards SDGs. I was just talking to Bu Ira, Bu Ira, Bu Sila dan juga Bu Eka on this sustainability. And this SDGs is basically for the better living of people. So people adalah kita. Kita dulu kalau nak ikutkan, ibu saya tak pergi sekolah langsung. Ayah saya, arwah ayah saya pergi ke sekolah sehingga standard 2, they call it. What is it, standard 2 here? Junior second year, junior school. And then after that he joined the military. So those were the days when our parents did not go to school or they had a minimum level of education. Then when I become a parent, when they became the parents and they make sure that their children go to school, force me to go to school, lari daripada sekolah, kena pukul, besok kena juga pergi ke sekolah sehinggalah masuk ke universiti dan sebagainya. So, you know, we even though it was a hard time for me, but I manage. I just have to manage to please my parents. And that's how we show our honor and respect to our parents because they look after us. And so that we have a better living standard ourselves. Okay, so what are the SDGs? Ingat? Ada berapa SDGs? 100. Ada? Silakan. Ada berapa ya? Ya? 17. Very good. Number 1. 17. And these are all the SDGs, meaning to say that this is from the UN, United Nations, promoting, advocating that we should have no poverty. But we find that everywhere we go, and I come from a small kampung, they also have perigi well, so we take water from the perigi. But now they have developed a little bit, but there are, shattered houses, and they far inside, they live in the jungle and so on. Okay, and then zero hunger, but we've seen, you know, in the world there are people, you know, not having enough food, and then good health and well-being, promoting quality education, that's where we come in. And each and every one of us, we play this role of supporting these SDGs. So it's not rocket science, it's not something new, it's something that we are now doing. Just like when we study, that is part of our life. Seperti kita makan. Kalau kita suka makan, apabila time makan, hanya tadi saya segan, saya suka makan. Tapi nak makan segan. Tapi in the end makan juga. So anyway, this is like our everyday life. We do this. Okay, and we promote no poverty. And if you look at ourselves, and it is because of our prior, because of our ancestors, because of our grandparents, our parents, we ourselves individually no poverty. Ada yang boleh claim yang kita ada poverty, kita ni poor. Are we poor? In Malaysia, we do have B40, M40 and T20. So that's the income bracket, salary income bracket that we identify the standard of the people there. So kalau B40, that means they are relatively poor. Okay, tapi kita di sini lumayan, I'm sure. Kalau mungkin tidak lumayan dari segi wang, tapi lumayan dari segi opportunity. Dan bila opportunity ada saja, insya-Allah ada rezeki untuk support kita belajar. Betul? Otherwise, we will not sit here. Okay. And many other SDGs there, which we are actually part of it. Okay. Next. Seterusnya. Mas, okay. So basically, the world's economic trajectory, they have undergone significant shifts in relation to sustainable development. So the world itself, they are moving towards sustaining, towards ensuring that whatever development they do to the country, to the people as a whole, they actually advance towards achieving the SDGs. Setuju? Tak semestinya bila saya cakap, kita semua kena setuju. Mungkin ada yang ada kelainan pandangan, silakan. And no one is, there's no right or wrong answer. It's your opinion. Okay. And in the past, economic growth was often prioritized. And that is why, and that is how we are here. You look at the level of education that government has put in. You look at once upon a time in Malaysia, there was only one university, and that was University of Malaya. Then afterwards came other public universities. Then came one private university, two private universities. In Malaysia, there are more than 200 private universities, so they have overtaken the number of public universities, and they're very competitive. And I understand that in Indonesia, you have, 2,000 universities? More than 2,000, and that is to accommodate the number of population, the number of people here, and you have 300 over million. We are just hardly 10% of that number, and hence the ratio of the number of universities being mushroomed, dijadikan, ditubuhkan, diadakan universiti-universiti ini for the generation to come, so that they are also educated, and they will not be like once upon a time we were all uneducated, no qualification, no the better work that we can do, and so that we have a better standard of living basically. Jadi dengan adanya kelayakan, kita boleh bekerja. Bila kita bekerja, kita boleh dapat gaji. Dan bila kita dapat promotion, kita naik dan naik lagi di dalam, naik pangkat dalam syarikat, dalam pejabat, then we are better off. And if you compare with maybe your friends, if I can reminisce my friends, quite a number of them, they do not further studies. So ada yang sampai Form 5, they get married, or they do odd jobs because they don't have the opportunity. In my case, we had ITM, Institute Technology Mara, di mana diberi peluang untuk Bumi Putra untuk belajar. So they have already touched 1 million graduate last year. So udah 1 juta graduan. So for us, that's ramai. Dan mereka lah yang akan menyumbang kepada pembangunan ekonomi. Just like what we are doing right now. So once upon a time, Bu Enya pun dulu student. Takut-takut student kan? Takut datang pun duduk pakai uniform inilah. Tapi sekarang udah berani, udah naik pangkat, udah diberi tanggungjawab. So you move up in that way. So I'm sure one day one of you will be like Jokowi, like Prabowo, like maybe different and much better than them, to contribute to the better standard of living, to the economic growth, to the economic state of Indonesia. Don't be surprised, even though you say, if I say one day you'll be the first, is it first woman Prime Minister? Possible? Tak. Kita tengok 20 tahun daripada sekarang. And I've had friends who are very shy in class, but they are CEOs, CFOs today. And they are Datuk, Tan Sri, and they do well at work. So it is possible. So when I share this, all this is about well-being. All this is about working towards supporting the SDGs. Why? Because the SDGs, these are goals that have issues. But we need to play that role as an individual to ensure that we achieve those goals. So we have to play our part. Next. Okay, I'll share with you Malaysia's perspective because we went through the transformation. So it was in 1960s that the economy and also sustainability, those days we did not use the word sustainability, but actually the process that the country went through is actually about sustainability development, sustainable development. So it was a process. So from the 1960s to the present, 1960s was when I was born. So I don't remember when I was very little, but I can only relate to what has happened. And we find that today there are many, many companies moving and going towards achieving and contributing to SDGs. Next. Next, please. So in the 1960s, ada clicker. Ada clicker? Tak apa. Okay, I come here. This was my late father's car, the first car. So at that time, not everybody could afford a car. So this was one of the cheapest car, Austin A40, if anyone knows. And it was green in color. Then we saw buildings, even old buildings today, they still stand. But currently, Malaysia they have their own car and they are developing with China investment. They develop even more, and that is the collaboration and the investment by Willy from China, and they came out, they produced that car. And of course, there are other series. And today there are skyscrapers, one of the tallest or one of the second, third tallest building in Malaysia. So when you go to Malaysia, it's not like what you see many years ago. Next. Okay, and in the 70s, there was a rapid economic expansion because when they see that they need resources, they need the thinkers, they look at the West, they find that the West are developing or developed. And we were like developing even to the extent of maybe equating to third world country because of our situation. So it was in the 70s, 80s, towards early 90s that the government sent out their people, Malaysians, overseas to study. To study what? Accounting, to study medical, to study engineering, to study all the qualifications to get qualified engineers, doctors, accountants, and many other professions. So that when they come back, they'll be able to contribute and bangunkan Malaysia. And I was one of them. I was one of the lucky ones. Actually, my diploma in accountancy, I just got about average, 2.8 over 4 points CGPA. Teruknya, Rozainun. Memang teruk. And I failed my economics 2 kali. The third time, my lecturer kata, kalau tak pass, out you go. Then I won't be here. The first time I got my economics was F. Lepas tu second time E. The third time I was studying like I felt so hard. And what grade did I get? D. Lucky thing because it's a non-accounting subject. Jadi kalau D tu pass, cukup makan. So I passed and I went through until I finished my diploma. Then when I went to UK under that scheme, in the 70s and 80s during the NEB, New Economic Policy. Again, I saw economics in CIMA, Chartered Institute of Management Accountants. So there is one paper, economics. Same thing, I failed once. I failed the second time. The third time, my sponsor, Government of Malaysia said, if you fail, you go home. So I got a C. C is actually a fail in CIMA at that time. but because I got 2 A's, so the 2 A's supported the C that I got. So it was a marginal pass, they call it. So that marginal pass, you can only pass if all the four subjects that I took equal to the pass aggregated amount. So again, cukup makan.
Professor, I'm sorry, I think you have 9 minutes left.
90 minutes left.
9.
Okay, can we just move? Okay, and I was not the only one. During my time, the whole batch, almost everyone in my batch went overseas, US and UK. And I chose UK, why? Because my ex-boyfriend was there. But in the end, when I went over, he had another girlfriend. And that actually motivated me to, to do well. Because, I just wanted to prove that whatever I do, if I cannot get him, at least, I can pass. Don't tell my husband. Okay, then in the 80s, there was this early awareness of environmental sustainability and all that. And again, with the level of pembangunan, there was also the downside of it, where people were affected. The what do we call it? Construction. They actually influenced or affected the area where there was flooding because of the bad drainage. So you want the buildings up, but you do not take care of the environment, and you have the flooding of the place, flooding of the road, and so on. Okay, next. Then that began the environmental regulation and the compliance. If you want to build something, you want to work towards pembangunan, environment, and development, you must observe what is needed in the environment. Next. Next. And then it moved on, 90s and so on, 2000s, then green initiatives, greenwashing that Ira is doing it. So it's good. Next. Okay, and I hope all this would actually give you ideas to do research on, to find out where is the gap, to find out what is wrong, what is not right. We have environmental regulations, yet it's not good enough, yet you have negative outcomes. So what is wrong? So it's good to research on, and one of the areas, Bu Ira is doing it, and she has a book, and very interesting too. Next. Okay, so there was the focus on better environmental solutions, environmental issues, and there was this awareness onto carbon, and even there's also the tax requirement for carbon emission. Next. Tak ada dah? Habis? Next. So that's the banjir that we had in 1969. Next. And next, if I can go to, okay, on chemical waste pollution, Sungai Kim Kim. So the company was actually doing and producing, contributing to making good products for the country. But in the end, it affected, and the waste that they produced actually affected the river, and it was poisoned. I think 2 people died, and others were affected with their health. Next. Okay, future outlook, there is that enhanced role, the more requirement to ensure that there is the sustainability agenda in the country, and I'm sure in Indonesia as well. Next. Okay, next. Habis, so for the world and for our individual and institutional support, just going back to the title of my presentation, what do we do to support SDGs? So we each, because we are rich in our knowledge, and if we do not know, I'm sure you have your best friend Google and your phone. You can always find out what next to do, what is to do, and what is your responsibility. Okay, so that's call to action. Ada lagi? Ada banyak lagi. I have about 20 over slides. Next. On the SDGs, in terms of statistics, how much has been done, studies and all that, you can always Google, find reliable resources to understand the information and the findings that have already been published. Next. Next. And also with Indonesia, you have the SDGs. studies and also statistics, how much has been achieved. Next. Next. So you have the slides, go through the slides. In order to support, I've given you the list. So please tick where you can contribute, where you have contributed, and just check whether those are good enough. Next. 21, I have 24 slides. And these are the references. So in terms of roadmap of SDGs achievement, you are ahead of us, 75. We are ranked number 78. So that's good, isn't it? Even though you're big, but you're able to cover. Next. Okay, so in order to meet the sustainable development goals, it's each and every one of us, the responsibility is on our shoulders. Agree? Bu Riana je agree. Bu Sila agree. Next. Okay, so with that, thank you very much for your attention. There's a lot more to do, and I hope we all contribute towards supporting and achieving SDGs. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Professor Rozainun. I must have found so enjoy. I'm sure all of us will enjoy too with her session. So let's move forward to the next speaker, Dr. Ramila Devi Ramsing. Dr. Ramila, we are so eager to hear from you. Okay, your time is yours.
Thank you, Ibu Ira. When Ibu Ira told me it's 30 minutes, I'm like, oh my God, I actually prepared the slides for 1 hour 45 minutes. But then kita cuba ya, saya cuma cover satu topik sahaja ya untuk research methodology. Jika ada apa-apa soalan boleh tanya saya. Ya, I try to speak in both language. Yeah, as what Prof. Rozainun mentioned, yeah, failure is road to success. Yeah, everybody have failed. I have failed. Yeah, I'm from law. I actually jumped to accounting. Yeah, yeah. I did law first. Couldn't do law, and then I jumped to accounting. Yeah, and again, failure road to success. We all had first boyfriend. End up marrying the second one. Okay, so my slides, Ibu. Bapak. So again, salam sejahtera kepada ibu-ibu dan bapa-bapa sekalian. Yeah, what I'm going to cover today is a simple recipe, a simple way of doing research. So my question is, what is the main problem that you encounter when you do research? Masalah yang paling penting Anda hadapi bila buat research. Main problem. Anyone? Main problem. Topic, yes. So that is the what I'm going to cover today. How do you come up with your topic? Yeah, just how do you come up with your title? Okay. So if next slide, please. So first question, why do we embark on research? Why do we do research in the first place? Anyone? Kenapa kita buat research? Kepentingan. Ya? Wajib. Sebab kena buat publication, right? As a lecturer, you have to do publication. Okay? So most of the time, don't know what is research, go to ChatGPT. Tanya soalan. Student pun guna ChatGPT untuk buat assignment. Jadi bila kita check, semua assignment sama. Dari mana datang answernya? ChatGPT. Yeah. So kita guna ChatGPT. Tanya. Okay, to create knowledge. Okay, in past, yes, we do research to create knowledge. But over the time, whatever knowledge we create, people not interested anymore. Jadi siapa-siapa yang mau tengok apa knowledge yang kita create. Yeah, so mainly we try to create something where others can actually apply, can use it, can become a practical way of using it. Okay, but of course we generate a lot of ideas, we give them, but at the end of the day, nobody wants to use it. All these ideas. So research is all about not only creating knowledge, at the same time you want to come up with an idea that people can actually use it. Okay, organization can use your ideas, okay, can make it better, right? I don't know about here when I did in India, my PhD, whatever knowledge that we are creating, ideas, model, we have to copyright. So if you are an engineer doing a PhD research, kena ada patent dulu. Baru dia bagi degree. Kalau tak, tak ada degree. Okay, so what is this new product that you are creating? Right? So first of all, before you can come up with a title, what do you need to ask yourself? Apakah soalan yang perlu ditanya sebelum kalian come up with the title, topic? Problems. You have a problem, but then you need to give solution, right? So you need to ask what outcome that you want to produce. What contribution that you want to make. So you need to ask that question. So that will make you to narrow down your title. What kind of contribution I want to give back to the society, to the community, to the organization, to the government? What do I want to give back? If you're not able to answer that question, outcome, you cannot come up with your topic. Yeah? And most of the time you have this problem. What problem? Your research does not align to your topic. Research yang kalian buat tu semua tidak align back to the topic. Topic lain, research content lain. Macam mana? Semua yang baca topik, baca research, content, apa dia cakap ini? Berlainan. Jadi apa perlu kita buat? What do we need to do? Before you write your title, before you come up with your title, you identify your area of your outcome. What you want to achieve, what you want to tell people at the end of the day. After that, you do literature review first. Okay? Bila disuruhnya buat literature review, tiada masa. Tidak suka baca. You have to read a lot, right? So most of the time you feel like, oh, you're overburdening. I don't like to read. You have to read to form your ideas. To form your ideas, to move you towards your desired outcome. Kita panggil desired means outcome yang you want to achieve at the end of the day. Desired. Apa kita cakap desired dalam bahasa Indonesia? Keinginan, outcome yang diinginkan. Yeah. Okay. Can move to the next slide. Next slide, Bapak. Okay. So I give you one example. Yeah. So sometimes people study on cultural diversity. A lot of studies on cultural diversity. If you're from the management area, okay, a lot of people study on cultural diversity. What is the reason? Apakah sebab? Okay, behind people studying cultural diversity. Sustainability. Yeah, sustainability is one. Beside that, and tadi Prof. Rozainun actually mentioned about SGD also relate to sustainability, right? A part of it. But why do people actually study about cultural diversity? Any idea? Contohnya macam kita dari Malaysia datang ke sini jadi speaker and try to share our experience. What are we doing here? Kenalan satu. Prof, selain daripada itu. Soalan memang susah. Have to think. Clue. Huh? Yeah, that is one word that you can actually link it to cultural diversity. People study cultural diversity due to globalization. Yeah, correct? Kita perlu tahu culture cultural background about other societies, other people. The reason is because we are doing business with them. We are doing business with them, so we need to understand them. So if I ask you, what does this means? Okay, okay in Indonesia, okay in Malaysia, tapi jangan buat ini di Maltese. Maltese dia cakap homosexual. Ada di Europe, and I cannot remember which country, dia perkataan yang tidak baik. Kiranya you nak marah orang. So that is why we study the cultural diversity. That is why got a lot of research towards this area, because we try to understand, we try to memahami, that particular society or that particular culture. Okay, can move on to the next slide. Okay, so bila buat research ni, dia ada banyak perkataan yang canggih macam deduction, induction, abduction. Okay, so what we try to do? Of course, in research, you have all these wordings, all these difficult wordings. But what we try to do here, we try to dive deeper and cari makna. Yeah, we try to dive deeper into that area and try to find meanings. Okay, so again, kalian, the research has to be meaningful. When you do research, the research has to be meaningful. What are you searching for in your research? What are you finding in your research? Okay, so next slide. Okay, so how do you come up with your research title? Number one, please go and look into the scope and focus. What area you want to focus? What is the scope of your research? So contohnya macam ni. I want to look if, let's say, business research. Okay, we got different types of research here. Accounting, dia ada scope dengan fokus dia tersendiri. Business, scope and focus. Okay, engineering research, medical research, they have their own scope and focus. So example here, business, they have their own scope and focus. So all these areas can be researchable under business research. Next slide, Papa. Okay, so this one is one example. Let's say I want to research on management. Okay, that is the very big area. Then I narrow down the area. So how do I narrow down? In management, which particular subject or focus that I want to do? Let's say, for example, human resource management. So from human resource management, how can I further narrow it down? I go into one subtopic, which is human management, human performance management. And from performance management, I further narrow it down. Let's say, for example, saya nak tengok benefit of performance appraisal. So you can narrow it down to the most tiniest area. You must narrow it down, otherwise it's very difficult for you to focus on your research. So in coming up with your title again, narrow it down to the most tiniest area. Area yang paling, the smallest. Okay, next slide. Okay, so how do you formulate your title, research title? Number one, of course, you need to look into the literature, okay, on the area of your research. Let's say I want to look into performance appraisal. You know what is performance appraisal, right? Performance appraisal? Okay, all of you working, at the end of the day, your performance will be appraised by your boss, right? You other KPI to achieve, and then you need to fulfill the KPI. There will be a form that your boss need to fill out for you. Correct? Okay, this is what we call performance appraisal. Performance appraisal. Okay. So do literature first. Tengok apa, what type of research available in this area. Literature. So how do you do literature? How do you do literature? No idea. How do you search for literature? Illustrate. How do you search? Macam mana cari literature ni? Google. Tanya AI, chat GPT, mana nak carikan literature? AI bagi. Pergi cari kat Google. Google Scholar. Ataupun ada web-web tertentu yang boleh carikan literature ini. Website yang tertentu. Contohnya Emerald Insight. Open University ada subscribe to Emerald Insight. Boleh cari literature. Bila nak cari, macam mana nak cari? How do you search? Keywords, correct. So you put in keywords, you look for the literature, you see what type of research available in that particular area that you intend to do research. Okay, the area of your, the focus of your area. Okay, then next, please go and find out what are the, not next slide, the earlier slide. Slide sebelumnya. Okay, please go and look into the challenges. This is most important. Remember when I asked you in the beginning, permulaannya saya tanya, apakah sebab kalian nak buat research kan? So you said there is a problem. Okay, there is a problem. So here you have to identify what are the problems. What are the challenges that make you to go and do the research? Okay, if there is no challenges, you don't do the research. What is the purpose of doing the research when there is no challenges? If semuanya baik sekali, kenapa kita mau buat that particular research? Okay, there is no meaning for you to do the research, right? So you have to see what are the challenges, what are the problems lies in that particular area. So one example that I can give is, what are the common problems in performance appraisal? What we call performance appraisal in here?
Penilaian kinerja. Penilaian kinerja.
Penilaian
kinerja.
Kinerja. Apakah masalah yang paling pertama dalam penilaian kinerja? Bosnya. Kita tanya bosnya, apa masalah pertama? So you are saying your employees does not reach. Okay, that is in boss's perspective. But in employees' perspective, in your perspective, bila anda dinilai, okay, what you feel about that kinerja pekerja when your boss is evaluating you?
Sehingga apa yang kita nilai, penilaian kita tidak mendorong motivasi pegawai untuk bekerja baik. Jadi mau buruk mau baik nilainya
So, yeah. Everybody is evaluated in an average because the company say if you are more than average, you need to show evidence. Okay, so everybody, even you perform well, you get. So the main problem, which is highlighted in literature, is that people are not evaluated fairly. That is the main problem. That's why a lot of research directed towards that, showing the organization, hey, this is the right way of doing it. But no organization want to follow. You already got nice model. Sudah ada model yang cantik. Okay, memberitahu kepada organisasi, follow this model. Okay, your employees feel motivated, but no organization want to follow. But a lot of research are ongoing on this area. So you have to identify the problems. What are the problems actually encountered? So that will actually give a basis for you to come up with your research framework. Okay, what are the problems? Because at the end of the day, bila buat research, your supervisor or you know that your research problem, research question, soalan-soalan yang you mau tanya dalam research dengan research objective, dia kena align. It must align properly. Research problem to research question to research objective, dia kena align. So if you don't identify your research problem properly, you cannot come up with your research questions. So let's say for example, one of the problem for kinerja pekerja is fairness in rating. So you will ask this question: what are the factors can contribute to fair rating? Correct? So you ask this question. Then in your objective, you go and find the factors. So that's how you align. So once, next slide.
Dr. Ramila, I'm sorry,
Okay.
you have 9 minutes left also.
9 minutes left. Okay. Kita title sahaja. So next slide. This I already covered. Okay. Once you already have an idea, okay, you already have your problem, research questions, research objective, you develop your model. Belum lagi title ya. Develop a model. Okay. So you have to come up with a model. When you're developing a model, that's when you actually referring back to literature, actually referring back to whatever theory related to the literature. So katakan motivasi. Apakah teori yang related to motivasi? What theory do you think related to motivation?
Maslow.
Maslow outdated already. Okay, I tell you one small story on Maslow. Maslow says you move from one hierarchy to another hierarchy. Dari satu hierarchy kepada another hierarchy. That means first survival. After that you move to the next hierarchy, your social status and so forth. Finally to self-esteem. Tetapi zaman sekarang Maslow is not applicable anymore. Sebab the generation, there is a generational gap. Generation sudah divided into 4. My grandfather's time, Maslow, 1954. Survival. Okay, my grandfather. My father, standard of living. Because they're already working, they already got good jobs. So they try to increase standard of living. Okay, my time, my father's time, holiday just inside Malaysia only. Outside all, tak apalah. But my time now, I'm taking my kids overseas. Okay, so luxury. My kids' time, what they want? Survival? No. Okay, so Maslow is no longer applicable. And even according to Maslow, he said later part when he wrote back on his theory, Maslow said only 2% to 3% have achieved the self-actualization, the up the pyramid, the most highest. 3% sahaja. Okay, but today's generation dia tidak apa, got a lot of problems. Generational gap. The generation Z, is the most problematic. Semua company complain, these people are very difficult to train them. They don't want to stay in a job. The moment you marah mereka terus resign. Boss, saya resign. No lack of responsibility. So that's why they say Maslow is already outdated. So what are the newer theories applying for motivation? And this is where there is a gap for you to go and research. So sometimes you also need to find what is the gap in order for you to pursue the research. So apa gap tu? Boleh buat research barulah. Sebab ada keramaian yang buat research dalam behavior of generation Z sebab mereka cakap paling susah mau understand this particular generation. Sangat susah. Okay. So After you develop the model, 1 minute, develop the model. Oh, 1 minute. This last one, you develop the model, use the model. I can go to the next page quickly. Okay, next page, this one just example. Okay, before you can develop the model, you can come up with all the factors. So what you can do is you can put them into the fishbone or Ishikawa diagram. And then from here, you can pick up the factors and come up with your model. I just want to show the model. Next phase, next page. These models, you can come up with the model, use this model to come up with your title. So your title will align to your research problem to research objective, research question to the objectives that you want to measure in your research. So actually I prepared again 5 parts. The entire research, I only managed to deliver 1 part. Okay, so any questions? Thank you so much for listening. Any questions? So use your model as a basis to develop your title, so it will align properly.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ramila. Would you please raise a hand for her? Your insight was truly enlightening. So, ladies and gentlemen, especially our Z generation who's coming here. I'm sure today's session both informative and provoking, right? So I invite you, all of you, to actively participate. Please feel free to raise your hand and ask your question or anything, or your share your thoughts or your insight. Do not hesitate. Adik-adik semua nggak usah ragu-ragu. You don't have to speak in English. You can ask in Malay or Bahasa. Is it okay? I'm sure our speakers will understand without to translate that. Yeah. So as token appreciation, the OC has prepared some gifts for those who actively contribute to discussion. Ya, adik-adik, jadi nanti ada hadiah dari panitia kita nih yang sudah mempersiapkan jauh-jauh hari bagi adik-adik yang atau semua all participants, not only our students. Yeah. Of course, on the Zoom as well. We invite not only who come here online, offline, but also we invite the online participants to actively participate for the Zoom. Who's the moderator for the Zoom? Yeah, just raise your hand and then unmute your speaker and just use your microphone and ask directly to our speaker. Okay, thank you. Yeah. If you don't want to ask directly, you can write down your question on your paper and pass it through us. Of course.
Saya bertanya ke Prof. Rozainun. Prof. Prof tadi explain that as educator we have to contribute for SDGs. In terms of curriculum, Prof, do we design our curriculum in your in Malaysian experience? Design the curriculum by considering SDGs target, and how you put the topic of SDGs in the curriculum. Okay, thank you, Bu. Kayaknya kena berdiri ya. Okay, in Malaysia, I was like quite involved in curriculum development and also review. It's tough because it's not one person's decision. Much as I would like to put SDGs, sustainability greenwashing, even all these new buzzwords. But we have to sit in a committee. It's not just at the university level or the faculty level. It has to be at the national level. So we have to present, there'll be a review session, and you have to wait for the review session. It's not just because we know new words and we just came back from conference and there is this promotion and also motivation to improve your curriculum immediately. In Malaysia and in my experience, it cannot be immediate or automatic. So we have to wait. And while waiting for the review, because sometimes it takes 5 years, but what we do is we have to innovate. So when we innovate, we can do case studies. So we have integrated case study as one of the final papers, final courses, one of the final courses at the undergraduate degree in accounting. So what we do is in the integrated case study, that is where if we have a case on financial reporting, that is where we can put sustainability reporting in there and we discuss. And on activities on sustainability, on SDGs, we put, if it's about no poverty, then when we do cases, when we want to look at audit, we want to look at controls, for example, we bring in these cases for the students to apply the theory onto these areas. But we bring out that one perspective is the SDG. One perspective is, let's look at one of the goals in the SDGs. So that's how we do it. We cannot change now or tomorrow or even next year, but we can innovate and include in our curriculum. That's how we do. And we ask them to do assignment. We ask them to even do, what do you call it? Community service. And we ask them to come back and present. So whatever activities they do, that becomes part of their projects and therefore assignments and their continuous assessment. That's how we build latest areas, latest interests, current issues. That's how we bring that into our curriculum for students' enhancement so that it becomes like a sort of a habit, or it becomes like part of them to have and to develop their interests into supporting SDGs. And we do it in class formally. We bring them out for trips. We also bring industry to come and talk to them about SDG sustainability. We also go out to the audit firms. We go out to the industry, to companies, to have a look at what they do in terms of promoting sustainability. So that's how we do. We have to innovate. So even though it's not in the curriculum, it's okay. We can always share with them through all these courses that they are learning. So if they are just doing financial reporting, making the adjustments, then we can have that one additional theory question, how sustainability can be incorporated. That when we pick up articles, relating to the new area. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next. Okay, please. Don't forget to mention your name. Yes, from Baku.
Kita tolak-tolak.
Perkenalkan, nama saya Nafsia. Saya punya satu pertanyaan untuk Ibu Dr. Ramila Devi. What is best practice when I am research? Karena sebelumnya saya sudah melakukan research pada karya ilmiah saya, dan ketika melakukan itu saya suka stuck gitu loh untuk pemikirannya, kayak cukup sampai di situ dan merasa sulit untuk melanjutkan ke research selanjutnya. Kayak gitu, kurang lebih bagaimana cara saya melakukan fokus kembali untuk melakukan research yang saya lakukan.
Dr. Ramila, please, do you need me to translate the question or no?
She did the research, but she stuck halfway.
How
to go back?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have to relook into again what outcome that you want to achieve at the end of the day. So what is your research is about?
Untuk judulnya
apa?
itu waktu itu strategi pemasaran. Saya meneliti tentang satu perusahaan restoran. Nah itu melakukan tentang strategi marketing di era digital.
Tapi she got stuck. But what outcome she want to show at the end of the day? What you want to show at the end of the day? From your research, what you want to show at the end of the day? So you must have clarity on terms of that outcome. Outcome dia
Hasilnya apa yang diharapkan pada akhir penelitian ini yang akan dilakukan.
Betul.
Untuk hasil yang mau diharapkan itu bagaimana perusahaan ini tetap bertahan saat itu di eranya COVID, tetap berlanjut dan tidak ada pengurangan karyawan dan sebagainya.
Okay. So you have to go back. That means that you need to backtrack. So this is what you want to achieve. You need to backtrack. You need to come up with a model. So what can be done in order for you to continue? Because you want to show the continuation, right? The continuation means
keberlanjutan.
Keberlanjutan, correct? Keberlangsungan, yes. So you want to show the continuation. So what you need to do is you have to relook into your framework. So what you're doing is, does it map it to what outcome you want to achieve at the end of the day or not?
Ya, jadi kembali lagi ke framework risetnya kira-kira dengan ketika menemukan stuck kembali lagi ke frameworknya, apakah sudah seperti frameworknya, kemudian menjalankan kembali framework yang sudah ada agar penelitian itu kembali berlanjut sehingga dapat diselesaikan sesuai dengan framework yang ada, kurang lebih. Gimana? Ada lagi?
Sudah cukup, terima kasih.
Ya, sama-sama, thank you. Ya. Is there any? Okay. Please, Pak Martino.
Thank you, Professor. This is very a great presentation, I thought. So, so you are both is very incredible. My first questions, since the SDGs sometimes is not auspice the success of the implementation of SDGs, what remains the most problematic when we are trying to apply the SDGs? This is my first question. Is it directly to answer?
To me?
Okay. Thank you, Professor.
So you said credible? You mentioned just now the presentation was credible?
Yeah, definitely, absolutely.
Incredible.
Incredible, yes, incredible.
Okay.
Incredible, I said.
The part about controls, that is difficult. In fact, we were just talking just now in the room next door about SDGs. The framework, the diagram that we see, the goals, they are very clear. But when it comes to implementing, there are movements. There are activities moving towards achieving the SDGs. But when it comes to reaching out and whether our contribution, our donation of food actually reaches out to the potential recipients, that is quite questionable. My nephew works under UN. He is in Africa. So he receives all these bantuan, all these foodstuffs donated and collected by United Nations. So his job is to actually manage and distribute. But if he does not perform his job, then the people there will not get those foodstuff and whatever support that the UN is giving. So the person in charge is very important. We get people asking for donation and we receive, but what do we do with it? The trust is always there, but can you trust? As long as we do not find out that or we do not suspect anything is wrong, then it'll just go away. But who knows what happens under the table, what happens, behind the door. So control is one factor that needs to be paid attention to, because that will determine the success of actually ensuring the achievement of the goals. It's not easy, but each of us, that's why my last slide just now, each of us, we have to play our role. If someone else is not doing it, it should be our job to tell the person. But if the person is somebody higher, an authority, do we dare to tell them? And if we do, we might end up in the lockup. So we just have to be careful. We have to be mindful. Our responsibility is to actually contribute and to support. And in so doing, it's going to be a process. It is sometimes difficult, but that should not stop us from progressing and from still, I would use the word fighting, towards ensuring we play our part in contributing to achieve the SDGs.
Thank you.
Control.
Yeah, thank you, Professor. And secondly, having said that, we are living in the very maybe profound, dire situation of this current situation of the world, right? So, what prevents sustainable development from happening? What prevents now we are implementing the sustainable development goals?
My answer would be people.
People.
Yeah. Because it is the people's decision. Because if you say it has to be the authority, it has to be the ministry, maybe, it has to be that company who actually drives the company, who actually drives at the ministry level, at the authority level, what or who actually pushes for the SDGs to be achieved. It's us. But if it's us, maybe at our level, we won't be able to, because we are not the authority, but we can contribute. So what prevents, to me, it's the people, it's the decision. So it's, what is in your heart. And hopefully those at the authority level, they'll be the ones feeling that strong responsibility to ensure that they will do a good job and that they will push towards achieving the SDGs. So if there's anything, I'm still thinking if there can be any other factor that can prevent. I can't think of anything except people. If you counter, you say, what about policy? And who makes the policy? It's the people. People as in, who is in authority. So it goes back to the people. It goes back to human resource. So yes, interesting to study on human resource.
Thank you. Thank you so much indeed, Professor.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
You can do a lot of research.
Yeah.
That is one topic. So the problem is the achievement of SDGs. And what would be the factors influencing the achieving of SDGs? If you want, one of it would be people. The other one would be policy.
Policy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other one would be the basically resources, whereby the availability of the foodstuff and things that you want to contribute to the SDGs.
Yes. Okay, thank you so much indeed, Professor.
Thank you.
And maybe another question before ahead, Professor Rosma.
I'm sorry, Pak Martino, because we have many questions online.
Oh
Do you
yeah,
mind if you
sorry.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Maybe next time.
After session, you can discuss with her outside.
Yeah, thank you so much indeed, Professor.
Thank you.
Next, Pak Sunshine. Before we go to the online question, maybe your question, please. Pak Sai, but I call him Sunshine.
Okay, thank you for an opportunity. Okay, my first question, actually there are two questions for the keynote speakers today. My first question goes to Prof. Rozainun. regarding the continuous effort for SDGs in Malaysia, could you explain the main ways for Malaysia to achieve SDGs in 2024? The main ways to for Malaysia to achieve SDGs in 2024.
Okay, I can only think of a case whereby we were hit by, I think, the worst of the flood incident after 1969. 1969, it was the worst of the flood incident. It really, what do you call it, flooded the whole of Kuala Lumpur. And we were like stuck. That was in 1969. Were you born then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was born then. I was in standard 3.
Okay.
So, yeah, based on that, and then afterwards, there was some more flooding areas. And what was common in a few states were flooding at certain time, usually end of the year or early of the year. And then there was another hit of the flood incident that was 2014, was it? 2014, 2015. And from then on, what the government did was to prepare themselves better. So it was more on risk management because of the risk faced by the states that there'll be flood again. So what they do is they have a checklist. So whenever there's flood or whenever there is a warning sign to indicate that there's going to be the worst of the floods, then they will follow the checklist. And what happened is that they discover, because many of us or many of the people in Malaysia, we tend to donate clothes. But people, they don't want clothes. They want other necessities. So that was in the list. And that is one of the ways in which Malaysia, they came up with, if it's a policy, it's also guideline, and it is shared to all companies, because when flood hits the state or states, they will have this drive to collect donation and they will send out. So they already have that mechanism. So that is basically damage control, because as I've said just now, when we have constructions, the surroundings, the environment are not properly taken care of. So when that happens, there must be something that they need to do. So in that case, just now, it's more damage control. So if really there's flood, then you need to control the damage. You need to provide the support so that after the flood has subsided, then there is that support to ensure that people will go back to their lifestyles before. It's not easy. It will take some time, but at least there is improvement. So that's one of the ways to basically manage the environment.
Still focusing on green growth, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
fostering collaboration among stakeholders.
Yeah, stakeholders.
Okay. Perfect, Prof.
Thank
And my second question goes to Dr. Ramila. Okay. According to you, Madam, it's just my simple question. What's the proper research, especially for the student of Master and Business Administration program? Applied research or basic research? Okay, thank you.
Okay, this is a very good question, yeah. Most of the time we ask ourselves what type of research we want to do. First of all, they need to know the difference between applied and basic research. So remember, basic research is all about creation of knowledge. As I mentioned, a lot of knowledge being created, application is very limited. So it is better for them to go to a applicative type of question, applied research. So when you come up with applied research, it could be applicable. You can apply the knowledge that you have created in other organization, or you can actually, it could be an advising factor to your other, like to the government or to anyone of concern. So again, it depends whether you want to create the knowledge, just leave it like that as it is, or you want it to be applied in future for the betterment of the society. So it is up to the student, I would say. Okay. Did I answer your question?
Okay, I think it's enough.
Yeah.
Thank you, madam.
I cannot say that students have to do a basic research or applied research. It's up to the student what they want to achieve at the end of the day. But if your students are working adults, might as well they use whatever examples in their company and come up with more applicative rather than knowledge creation. Yeah.
Thank you, madam.
Okay. I just want, sorry, Pak Sain.
Shine, yeah.
I think what we need to do, if I can suggest, is to motivate the students motivate them so that they have the ownership of what actually they want to do. Tendency, I was a student before, and I would tend to ask my lecturer, what research should I do? Should I do basic or should I do applied? Tell me. So there's no ownership. And I usually get away with murder. Then my lecturer will tell me what research because she has a grant. So in that way, it's not really educating and sending the right message to the student. So don't give them the fish, but tell them how to fish. So they're so easy. Now, what basic or applied? So the lecturer is there. We look up upon the lecturer. And more often than not, the lecturer will tell the student. But at that level, when you do research, the ownership must be with the researcher and with the student. So they have to decide whether basic or applied. And one thing is that when they decide, it is on them. So that if they are stuck, and if we tell them, do basic, do applied, then when they get stuck, they will say, ni Pak Sain suruh buat basic research. So don't. Let them decide and ask them to take the ownership. Thanks.
Thank you for the insight, Professor. Perfect.
Okay. We have two questions from online participants. I think it goes to Dr. Ramila. First one is from Ibu Maya Safira Dewi. The question is how to find the gap of the research. And the second one, it comes from Ibu Hirau Resti. She asks how to find the novelty in research. Please, Dr. Ramila.
Okay. Most of the time, what happened here is that when we do research, we fail to look into what benefit that we can derive from the research. Okay. What are the benefits, the manfaat daripada that particular research? So when we search for the topic, right? Let's say, for example, one particular area that we are very much interested, sustainability, for example, we go and search. There are a lot of research available. Okay. Now you do your literature review. But when you do the literature review, there is steps for you to follow, which was my second part of presentation today. Steps for you to follow to identify the gaps. The gaps means what are the areas that people often overlooked, that people don't include into their research. They often overlook. And this could be a research point for yourself. So you have to read, you have to make comparison between the available research, available material, get a deeper understanding, and then you need to find out what are the areas that people often overlook. They don't focus, and that becomes the gaps for you. And that gaps can actually create the novelty for the research. Novelty means it actually creates that kind of differentiation, kelainan daripada research yang ada kat sana. Yeah. So that's why your supervisor or your lecturer always tells that please look for the gaps in order to create the novelty of the research. So Start with literature review, identify the gaps using the literature review. But you must also have a deeper understanding about the area that you want to do research.
Thank you, Dr. Ramila. You want to add to that?
Can I add
Yes, sure.
on that? When you back to Pak Sain just now, when you take that ownership, when you ask the student to decide, they must have a reason why. So they have to tell you why they want to choose basic and why they want to choose applied. So they will have to tell you, not you tell them. So similarly in this case, back onto the question just now, Dr. Ramila was saying, please read. So we have to read. Even in our religion, Iqra, Bismi Rabbikal Ladzi Khalaq. So you know you have to read. It comes from there. So you have to read, no choice. But for me, I learned the hard way because I have a good lecturer. So I tend to depend on the lecturer. And even during coursework, the lecturer always helped me. So when it comes to research, I find it difficult to find ownership. I find my lecturer. So, you know, we have to change. So in whatever we do, and if you read, you have to come up with what is the gap. How do you go about it? Kena cari sendiri. You have to, no choice. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Because of the the session to end, as we bring this session to close, I want to express my gratitude to each and every one of you for your active participation and engagement. Today we have already discussed how academic landscape to support SDGs and how the methodology to reach the goals. From Professor Rozainun, I highlight that the most influencing factor to support SDGs implementation is people. It is us, actually. Implement and prevent is us, people. Yeah. And from Dr. Ramila, we learned that research not only to create knowledge, but also to create practical way to using the ideas to make this world a better living for everyone, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, we are as academic community play a pivot role in shaping the narrative, conducting research, and educating the next generation of leaders, our future leaders, the Generation Z, who will, the next president, who will drive positive change. Of course, it requires continuing learnings, collaboration, and action and commitment as professor. So we together we have opportunity to contribute the positive transformation that SDGs represent. A special thank you to our esteemed speakers, Prof. Rozainun and Dr. Ramila, for sharing your expertise and insight with us today. Let's embrace the challenge and opportunity that lie on our journey towards sustainable future. We all here in UT cannot wait to collaborate with both of you. And for those who's lucky, the OC will contact you further. Thank you very much. See you soon. I'll hand over to the MC. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Ira, for leading the interesting topics. And Professor Dr. Zainun, Haji Abdul Aziz, and Dr. Ramila Devi Ramsing, thank you for the valuable topics, valuable knowledge that you shared with us. Once again, let's give a round of applause for them. Professor Dr. Zainun Haji Abdul Aziz and Dr. Ramila Devi Ramsing and also Mrs. Ira, please stay in the front because we would like to give the gifts and also the certificate from the Vice Dean of the Faculty of Economics and Business Universitas Terbuka. So please for Mrs. Dr. Kurnia Endahriana, and also Mrs. Yeni Widyastuti to come to the front. For the first one, we will give the certificate and also the gift for Professor Dr. Rozainun Haji Abdul Aziz that will give from Mrs. Dr. Kurnia Endahriana. And the next one for Dr. Ramila Devi Ramsing. That will give from Mrs. Yeni Widyastuti. Thank you. Thank you. And the next one for Mrs. Ira Geraldina as moderator that will give from Mrs. Kurnia Endahriana. And now let's take the group photo. Yes. So after this. And I would like to invite the head of Accounting Study Program, Management Study Program, Development Economic Study Program, Tourism Study Program, Public Sector Accounting Study Program, Syariah Economic Study Program, Master of Management Study Program, and the head of Doctoral of Management Study Program to come to the front to take the group photo.
Tadi saya sebelah Mbak Yeni. Beda. Saya berat ke sini, Pak. Oh, biasa ke sini.
And the last photo session with all the participants here, so please everyone come to the front to take the photo. So everyone, please come to the front to take the photo.
Kameranya nggak bisa model wide gitu ya. Udah. Ngapain di belakang lo? Rumah nggak bebas namanya, diatur. Kalau bebas ya bebas.